Welcome to the FIBO Football Festival here in Cologne. It's day 3 in our content studio, and I'm filling in for Nick today because, after an unfortunate turn of events, basically, let's put it like that. And we're going to talk more about the 16 franchises of the ELF with our ELF franchise checks. And with the next division, the East is coming up. I brought some help because, I need some help for this one. So I brought in Matt Bressington, our in-house expert. Welcome, Matt. And fill me in. Talk me through the history of this franchise.
Absolutely. So, the Fehervar Enthroners, they're a weird team. They come into the league in 2023. Mixed bag. They don't really have the homegrowns to compete with the top level opposition. They finished 3-9. Overall, not a great year. They couldn't score a lot of points. They gave up a lot of points. Fundamental football problems, particularly on the offensive line. Had a lot of QB changes as well. Overall, it's not a very good team. They come in last season. In my opinion, it was a better team. They had a lot more talent on the field. They just couldn't put it together. They dropped the game against Prague, which is that big Eastern rivalry, and they finished at 10-2. I do think they're an improved team. They just couldn't get as many wins, and so a lot of people thought they got worse. But they're trending upwards, which maybe in 2025, I have a lot of opinions, but we'll get into that. But I think it's going to be a very weird year for the Enthroners.
Okay, so interesting. So you're saying the trend is more upwards with the Fehervar Enthroners, and I think the first group that we're going to take a look on, it's the energy here is wild at the FIBO Football Festival for sure. We have some bench press competitions going on, but I think the first group we want to look at is the import group, because I feel like that's where everybody tend to look at on the first glance when you talk about franchises and when you don't really know where to look. And we've had some changes in that position, but right now, fill me in. How are the imports looking? Because they also made some choices that not many franchises would go for usually. Because
some
I
choices.
think, especially on the defensive side, a lot go more in the right fire system, 2 DBs, and I feel like that has been a success model for a lot of franchises. But they're taking a whole different turn.
Absolutely, you could definitely say that. We'll start with a couple of players they've lost this season. 2 very big heavy hitters for them. They've lost Rodion Enrique, Dutch corner. I was talking on the train here with Carl Kitchens about my favorite European corners. I think Dion is probably the best European corner we have in the league. Ball playing player, come back this season after an injury, and he just didn't skip a beat. I saw him in the pre-season of last year and he looked phenomenal. He took that in this year. Multiple interceptions and pick sixes. They've lost him. He's now gone. So that's a big hole they're going to need to fill. They've also lost Nathaniel Robitaille. Speedy, quick receiver, played with the Rhine Fire. He's a champion. He had a very successful year with them, but again, another player they've decided to move on from. And then in terms of extensions, they have got a couple of very important Enthroners legends, I think you could call him at this point. Nandor Toth, receiver, I'm a big fan of him. A lot of people go under the radar. I said he was I'm getting a little bit heated about this one because I said he was going to lead the league again this season in receptions. People said I was crazy, but he did it last year and he was an incredible, great possession receiver. He means a lot to this team because he is probably their best homegrown receiver they have. And then on the defensive side, Janos Zalahi, former IPP athlete, great movement, lateral ability. To have a player as important as that in the middle of their defense as a homegrown option is imperative, and that's a massive extension they've got. And then they've also, the bench press is going crazy at the moment. They've also brought in some more players in terms of their additions. Some throwback names for sure, but their new quarterback this year is going to be Brock Doman, coming in from Louisville. Played at D1 level is very important. He then went over to GFL with Dresden. It's going to be hard for him. This offensive line is not good. I'm gonna be very straightforward with you. So he's gonna not have a lot of time. He's gonna have to get the ball out quick and fast. You have to be very safe. They had Jack Mangle in last year, a young quarterback that I think exceeded expectations. They moved on for him. They're gonna go with Brock this year. They have brought in a very reliable weapon, Rashad Still. He played for the Enthroners years ago, back before they were in the ELF, in Hungarian League, and in the AFL. They played in Austria as well. Big lord. He's a basketball professional. He plays basketball as well. Okay. So you can imagine as a skill set, he's a jump ball specialist. He's going to stretch the field a lot, and I think they're going to have a lot of jump ball available opportunities for Rashad Still this season.
Okay. Thank you for walking me through it, and I hope I heard most of it with all the background noise going on here. And yeah, we mainly talked about the extensions, additions, departures that were very significant for Fehervar for the upcoming seasons. But let's take a look at their overall roster and kind of the bigger picture, because they're not just 4 imports on the roster, or not just some people that came back, or some homegrowns that maybe make the difference, but like the total. You say they're trending upwards, so let's put that on the roster. So
yes, exactly.
Where do you draw this from?
So you mentioned this weird attitude they had to squad building, and it's definitely different. You know, Ryan Fire and the Galaxy, they made 2 DBs very popular. Some other teams, you know, like a Hamburg, Carl Kitchens, a defensive end, get a bit of pass rush pressure. The Enthroners do a little bit differently. They have an American defensive tackle next to 2 European defensive tackles, and then an American rush off the edge. So effectively they've got 4 imports, 2 American defensive linemen and 2 European defensive linemen, and they're going to put a lot, and I mean a lot of pressure on Miles Butt at corner. He's a British corner, he's very athletic, a little bit injury prone. He's going to have to take a massive step up and basically be covering an American receiver for the whole year. I don't think it's going to work. I'm going to be completely honest, because they've got, I think they're going to run a 3-5. They're going to have their 3 big boys in the middle, clogging up the holes, and then take Malik Crenshaw off the edge. They've tried this the last few years. Honestly, I just don't see the vision. I'm going to be honest. So I think maybe they make a change. But they seem to be very committed to this. It seems like part of their culture that they want to go with. And yeah, I don't see a way this is going to work, but I'm very happy to be proved wrong.
Okay, so although you're a little optimistic that the trend might be a little bit better than the record of the last couple of seasons, you say, the vision is still lacking for me a little bit, and you would have probably gone for some different decisions during the off-season,
absolutely,
correct?
yeah, you could definitely say that, yeah, for sure. There's a few picks I maybe would have picked. There's a few players I would have liked to have signed more imports on the offensive line to protect my quarterback. That would have been my opinion on that one.
Okay, perfect. So let's put that plan they came up with, that you say, maybe it's a little bit rocky. Let's put that into action and have a look at the schedule for the upcoming weeks ahead in the 2025 season that's around the corner. You prepped this already with Nick.
Yes.
So Nick made a couple of picks. I'm going to read them out because, he handed me them this morning, so,
okay. Right.
We're going to walk them through. Week 1, we play in Poland against the Panthers, and Nick said it's going to be a loss.
Okay, fair.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I can see that with Nick. I can see that, yeah.
So week 2 away at the Vikings. Nick also called this a loss. I think also this is quite a tough one.
Reasonable, yeah.
Probably would have called that too. But then it gets interesting. They play at home, first home game against the Prague Lions.
Yeah.
And Nick said they're going to win.
Yeah, me and Nick are going to have a conversation about that one after the weekend, I think. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Next home game coming up against the Madrid Bravos.
Yeah.
Nick called it a loss.
Okay. Not a great start for them so far.
Not a great start so far. We are 3-1.
Yeah.
So far, or 1-3. Next one is a away game again. They're going to Berlin. And Nick actually called this with a win.
Interesting. Okay.
Would you agree with that, or would you say, Berlin has...
At the current state, I think it's reasonable. Yeah, okay. Berlin, they don't have a ton. I've been very critical of Berlin or other Czechs, and I can see definitely what Nick's thinking there, but I got to talk to him about that Prague one, because let's disagree. Right, let me get into my ones as well. I'm not as kind as Nick. Nick, he doesn't want to upset people. I don't mind upsetting people. So let's start with the Panthers. They're going to take an L to the Panthers. It's a tough team to go against. Surge, I think. Just kidding. This was Nick's last one. My bad.
Nick picked this one too.
I jumped the gun. My fault. Nick called that a win. Oh my God.
After the bye week, they're coming out
Oh my
strong.
God. Nick called that a win. All right. My fault. I jumped the gun a little bit. Nick's called that a win for the. Okay. Interesting. All right. Okay. Let's get.
Yep.
So Stuttgart Surge. It's going to be an L. The Stuttgart Surge are loaded. Again, same thing with the Bravos. That's a tough back-to-back game. They're going to take another L there. My Prague Lions, I helped build in the off-season. I think the Prague Lions are going to be a big team to watch this season. So they're going to take another L against the Prague Lions because that's my team. Again, Vikings, that's a tough one. They're going to take another L there.
It is.
Berlin, I think they're going to split with Berlin. So Nick's got them going for the win. I've got them going for a loss here.
Yeah.
And then Serge again for a loss. They go on a massive skid towards the end of the year. They finished 3-9, which technically, based off of last season's 2-10, is trending upwards in terms of their record. So I think this could be an accurate one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna calculate them all together basically because well, Nick gave them a couple of wins. You gave them straight losses.
Yeah.
Despite with your opening statement was they're trending upwards.
Yeah.
And you're giving them a bunch of losses, and now we have for the whole season we're coming out with 3 wins.
And it's trending
Thanks
upwards
to
from
Nick.
last year. All thanks Nick. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And the rest is all losses. So I would say this is such a great record. Maybe a little bit,
great.
like a tad bit better.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
But on a concluding note, maybe to this schedule.
Yeah.
Why will the record come out like this? Why do you think this is the best they can do? Or, I mean, hopefully maybe they perform better, but for the way things currently look, how do you think, okay, this is going to be it?
I think a big thing with them is that it's got to be about their depth, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got a German team like a Ryan Fire Stuttgart, or even the Austrian teams like Vienna. If a player goes down, they've got another guy they can just bring up who's going to be very good. The Fehervar team do not have that. They have a very limited amount of great Hungarian players. We talked about a couple already. So if they go down, they're done. Their offensive line, they need to overperform. So currently, they do have 1 E spot still available. I'm really hoping they spend that on the offensive line.
Okay.
Because I currently do not think they have enough to protect Brock Dorman. So they need to protect him. They need to invest in offensive line. Need to get a little bit lucky with injuries. And this gamble of the defensive line position with the E imports, the A imports, it absolutely has to work. Like, there is no other way they're going to win any of these games if this gamble does not work. They need immediate pressure off the snap. They need to be within the quarterback's range and get pressure rates at over 50%, otherwise they're going to lose a lot of games.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you see this? Because right now I'm hearing one of their core issues is homegrown talent and backing up the team.
Yeah.
So maybe the starters are quite solid, but then when it comes later on through the season, we're going to see a lot of, if injuries are coming in, this is a sport to play, then we're going to have some real issues.
Exactly.
How do you see this problem, let's call it like this, develop in the next couple of seasons, looking down the line?
There is a few young players coming through. The Hungarians do have a youth system in Fehervar, which is going to be important for them developing. They need to develop a running back. They don't have an elite level running back. They've got 2 good receivers. Like Nando Toth was a Triple Crown winner in a domestic league in their season a couple of years back. But they don't have any young studs coming through to take over the mantle when he ages out. And that's a big problem. The offensive line, they've got no prospects on the offensive line, which is a massive problem. Weirdly enough, a lot of the Hungarian talent plays in Austria. Like, you've got Fedor Chapazayev, who's a great receiver. He's in the Vienna Vikings Academy. He's on Hungarian heritage, but he will never play for them. So they need to way to attract these young guys back to Fehervar if they want to build for the future.
Okay. So to end this on a positive note, what do you think the Enthroners can be most excited for the 2025 season?
I think it's the anticipation, the gamble, right? Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? I think that's the big thing. If it does work and they have a ton of pressure, that defense can be super entertaining to watch. They have a 4-star defensive tackle. He played at Tennessee. He was on Last Chance U, Emmett Gooden. That's a big name. You surround that with some more talent. If they're able to create just a dominating defense with some great possession receivers, it could be the underdog story of the whole season.
Okay, thank you for walking me through the Fehervar Enthroners. You can see all of the franchise checks of the 16 teams of the ELF for the upcoming season on YouTube, and probably also some snippets on the social media accounts, and also catch the other teams of the East Division, because I think this is going to be an interesting one. Thank you.